Fulton County, Georgia, voter fraud.
Hi, guys. This has pretty much been explained. Jonathon Daily.
All right, what is new from this? I'm sure some of you saw that there's an FBI raid on Fulton County, Georgia election office. So what happened? The new materials that led to this: on January 28th, 2026, the FBI executed a search warrant at the Fulton County Election Hub and Operations Center in Union City, Georgia, related to the 2020 presidential election. Federal agents seized hundreds of boxes of original ballots, ballot images, tabulator tapes, and voter rolls from the 2020 election. The warrant was signed by a federal magistrate judge and authorized the seizure of all physical ballots and records linked to the 2020 election. This action is part of an ongoing criminal investigation by the department. The unsealed affidavit. This is the important part, and I've got a clip related to this, so I'll play the clip now as well. Roll it.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. It is absolutely doomsday for election thieves in Georgia for the 2020 election. The FBI has now released its affidavit that they used as a predicate to raid the election center in the state of Georgia, and it is absolutely and totally devastating. Lib's worst nightmare, observing that at least one file with dates modified in 2024, along with others modified prior to January 11th, 2024. So what they're saying here is that the election officials went into the files and they changed them. They changed the ballots. They miscounted ballots. They uploaded images of ballots that didn't exist. They were short by 17,000 ballots on the official tally. This is completely and totally devastating. Let's read. Last month's FBI agents executed a search warrant in Union City, Georgia, making sharp escalation in scrutiny surrounding Fulton County's handling of the 2020 election. The FBI has now reportedly substantiated major irregularities in vote counting from Fulton County, Georgia during the 2020 election and is investigating whether those errors were deliberate violations of federal law. The affidavit filed by FBI Special Agent Ryan Hughes Evans last month, which was unsealed today, lays out 5 categories of confirmed election fraud, mishandling of ballots, raising questions, simmering for over 5 years since Trump and his allies raised questions about the Georgia election. Let's read. According to a report from Just the News, Evans filed the affidavit last month to establish probable cause on the raid, and we've talked about this, to get a judge to say you have probable cause, to get a judge to say, yes, a criminal activity occurred here is a massive, massive thing in Georgia. I mean, again, this wasn't just a search warrant. This wasn't a subpoena. This was kick the door in and grab everything you can. We think there's a crime that was committed here. So this is now, we're seeing the underlying predicate for that crime. Seized 700 boxes of ballots from an Atlanta area storage warehouse. The investigation stemmed from a referral by Kurt Olson, President Trump's election integrity czar. Evans interviewed roughly a dozen unnamed witnesses about the allegations in the Georgia race, where Joe Biden edged out Trump by less than 12,000 votes in the official result. Some of those allegations have been disproven, while some of those allegations have been substantiated, including some through the admission of Fulton County, Evans wrote. The warrant application is part of the FBI's criminal investigation of improprieties and intentional acts, criminal laws. Fulton County admitted it lacked scanned images of 500,000 ballots counted during the initial count and 500,000 ballots tallied during the state's recount. What? So they don't have the actual ballots themselves. County officials have confirmed that during the recount, some ballots were scanned multiple times. Ballot images obtained through public records request show identical markings appearing in duplicated images. During the risk-limiting audit, hand counters reported vote totals and batches didn't match the actual votes inside of their batches. According to the affidavit, State Performance Review Board, Secretary of State investigation confirmed inaccurate batch tallies. So now those ballots are owned by the FBI and they'll make the final determination, along with the fake ballots. And we've been told by Rudy Giuliani, for instance, that there was a ballot printing operation on site. Play that clip in just a second. There were a matter of pristine ballots. Auditors assessing the risk report, counting supposed ballots that have never been creased or folded, would be required the ballot mailed to the voter and returned sealed. They said that they were perfect black dots, only votes for Joe Biden, 99% breaking for Joe Biden in these style of like perfect, pristine ballots that were clearly just printed on a printing press on site. The timeline adds another wrinkle. On the deadline to report the election results, Fulton County initially declared a total of 511,000 ballots, 17,000 fewer than the original count. But the next day, that number had jumped to 527,000 ballots, more than Joe Biden's margin of victory. So they can't even get their ballot number right. If these deficiencies were the result of intentional action, it would be a violation of federal law regardless. Many of the claims made in the affidavits were previously vetted by the Georgia State Election Board through litigation. Trump and his lawyers at the time lost their cases to the judges, but now they are looking into the actual ballots themselves. So this would be the first time that there was an actual independent review of the ballots. Nobody's ever seen the ballots. For years, officials insisted the 2020 process was sound, dismissing conspiracy theories. What remains unclear is if the problems resulted from incompetence or if they were malicious. Look at this. They're changing the files. They're literally changing the data, including last year. Last year, they started changing data, probably assuming that Trump was going to win, right? There it is, folks, the state of Georgia. 2 addresses were used for 9,000 votes cast in the most secure election in history in 2020. 2 addresses, 9,000 votes for these addresses. Jeez. There were many duplicate ballots in Georgia during the 2020 election. People were showing this, how the ballots were absolutely perfectly duplicate, including the way that they were, the bubbles were filled in. You can see it. You've seen, obviously, these ballots, and you can find that the markings perfectly match up ballot to ballot to ballot. And this is something that AI obviously can determine, right? There you go. Yep, that's it. Perfect. And President Trump talking about the 2020 election fraud, nationalized voting. We have states that are so crooked. Now you're going to see something in Georgia. The ballots, you will see some interesting things come out, says President Trump. And Donald Trump has, of course, been promising that they caught them. We caught them. We got them red-handed. Look at this. I thought this was a very interesting map. This is the election map of Dominion voting systems throughout the country. So where are they clustered the most? Look at Georgia. I mean, every swing state, isn't that wild? So it's all the swing states, but then Georgia, look at that. Man, they just packed that state. Just packed them. Georgia voter election. Watchdog group says Fulton County has 17,000, mostly Biden votes, that have absolutely no ballots. Entire state will flip to Trump. What happens afterwards here? I don't know exactly. Here it is, Fulton County, full affidavit. It's smoking. And the person who's been retained by the feds is one of the best election lawyers in the world, Clay Partic. He worked in cybersecurity field. Due to his background in voting machine security performance, Partic has often reviewed data related to election questions and voting machines. He's a special government employee, temporary office of the executive branch, to review this specific election. The dam is about to burst on election fraud in Georgia. I've said all along, Georgia is the domino that will be the first to fall, and it is not the last. It's happening. It's happening. It's going to happen, man. Pretty soon, every single fake news outlet will be looking for diversionary stories as we uncover all of the election fraud, says Carrie Lake. And of course, if it isn't voter fraud, what is it exactly? I love this graphic. This graphic's amazing. This is the Biden election. Where the hell did these 20 million votes come from? Where did they come from? I don't care if people are like upset with Trump or whatever. Like, where did they come from? Biden election. Biden-Obama election, Hillary Clinton election, Kamala Harris election, a perfect through line to the number of Democrat votes, about 65 million. And then Joe Biden up here with 82 million. Where the hell did that come from? Jeez. FBI has substantiated irregularities in Georgia 2020 vote counts, probing if they were intentional. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Rudy Giuliani telling me that they had ballot printing operation on site right here in a, remember, Rudy was representing the president in all of this. He got arrested for it. Proven right. Here we are.
Would you give us the evidence? I mean, would you elucidate for us? There's a factory that was printing ballots?
That's an allegation. Okay. We've never able to prove that. But that's an allegation we have from 4 or 5 witnesses, and we wanted to get a warrant.
It makes sense.
But do I believe that one is one I probably believe is true. And I also believe that the ballots are phony, because if they weren't phony, they'd have turned them over to us on day one. They wouldn't have fought 20 battles to keep in front of us. They wouldn't have thrown our expert out when he showed up there with a machine that scared the hell out of them. It was a machine that would tell you if the same stationery was used. There was one stationery that was approved as the ballot. This machine could take all the ballots, put them through, and it could spit out the ones that were different stationery. And some of the reasonable people in Georgia agreed to that. And we were all set to do it. And the morning that Pulitzer showed up, the guy who was going to do it, they had the state police there. I think the governor said.
So again, I'll just kind of reiterate the video. A recently unsealed affidavit gives the first public view of the FBI's rationale in the raid. And it showed the affidavit, like from the clip said, it literally alleges that someone physically saw this, them changing votes, recounting votes that shouldn't have counted, and just multiple things that there was probably intent there. Now, will anything ever come from this? Who knows? It's hard to ever have faith in the justice system in our country anymore after all we've seen from Epstein to this to because let's be honest, these criminals and these elites that commit these fraud, they cover their tracks well. Was there enough voter frauds to actually change the election here? I would say yes, because this was the first election that the amount of late votes and the different procedures and protocols that were implemented because of COVID came into play. I think there was nefarious activity. That's just me. But again, when you have an affidavit like this and someone was willing to come out, and props to them, there is evidence. Now, is it enough to get conviction to prove intent? That's probably going to be very difficult to prove intent, and that's probably what these people relied on. Like, how are you going to prove intent? It was just an accident. We didn't mean to switch the votes. Well, that's for the FBI to figure out and to have actual prosecution, because again, the FBI's job is just to investigate and then give all the information they find over to the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice is responsible then for getting a grand jury indictment and actually prosecuting the case. So let's hope, let's pray, let's see some sort, for the love of God, accountability for something in this country. Otherwise, guys, what the hey? Just go out there, commit fraud, screw the truth. Who cares anymore? Do the wrong thing, right? And that's why, again, Christianity and having faith is so important. Without it, our country will eventually implode on itself. And we're starting to see that every day.
For the latest in case updates, legal tips, news, and politics, make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and our other socials, and above all, subscribe on YouTube to get your dose of excellence on a daily basis.